The purpose of this video is to go through the research guide for you I created for your career research and speech you're doing for Ms. Jackson's English 3 class. You have a link to the research guide, which looks very much like this. In fact, this is it. I'm going to take you step by step through each of the tips and tricks on this guide to help make this project easier and simpler. So the very first thing I was asked to talk about with y'all is MLA formatting and MLA documentation, because you are expected to use at least 3 sources for this project, and you're expected to give credit to those sources in your slides or PowerPoint. I have given you a link to an EasyBib bibliography add-on. I'm going to show you how to use that in just a second. And then I've given you some other resources here which I will go through step by step. I do want to show you that this part of the title is hyperlinked to take you to an MLA documentation guide that we have access to through the high school library. And it's like this. It just gives you basic like how to do in-text documentation. Those are called parenthetical citations. And then it shows you the list of the works cited and how to give credit for different things on your works cited page. So I wanted you to know you had access to that document using that link. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is how to use the EasyBib bibliography add-on to help create your works cited page. In my Google Drive, I have a new document already created. Let's hope it opens right. Called, okay, so here's my document that I can use to model EasyBib add-on and how to use it to create a bibliography. So once you have your document open, you're going to go to Add-ons, Add-ons, and we're going to get a new add-on. And the new add-on you're going to get is called EasyBib. If it doesn't show up as one of the first ones recommended to you, you can search for it in the search bar. And we're going to hit the free button. We're going to have to allow it access. And now when we go to add-ons, we have as one of our options, EasyBib Bibliography Creator. And then we're going to manage our bibliography for this document. And I'm just going to leave that there right now. Okay? So, going back to our research guide, it shows you how to, I've given you step-by-step directions about how to format all your bibliography entries. And I will, once we have some items on our bibliography, I will show you exactly how to do this. I also want to show you really quickly, though, that you do have an online writing lab from Purdue link also, which gives you even more detail on how to format using MLA. So, the next part of your research guide talks about how to do a basic Google search. It tells you to use keywords to narrow your search, use the News tab to narrow to only news, magazine, and journal articles, and then to copy and paste the link to the source in the EasyBib add-on to easily add it to the works cited page. So let's go to Google and let me kind of model for you what this guide is telling you to do. Since y'all are doing career investigations, I'm going to just really quickly Google nursing career, because that's a career. And then we see we have tons, like 321 million results. If we add more options like education, because I want to know what it requires, our 300 and something went down to 277. I'm going to add that word requirements as it was modeled. And I get way more sources. So let's say I only want to do 2019 because I want to know what are the latest requirements for nursing school. Now, these are all going to be sources, and there's nothing wrong with them except for they're not going to have an author, they're not going to have a publication date, so they're going to lose some of their authenticity. The best way to make sure you get an author is to click this news button. Okay, so here's a CNBC article. Ready for a new job? Consider these hard to fill positions. So let's pretend this is one of the articles I want to use. Okay, so I've read it. I've decided this is definitely an article I want to use as one of my sources, because down here, number 3 is registered nurse. And they talk about being a registered nurse and why it's a why it's supposed to grow by 15%. So I want to talk about that in my speech. I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to go to my Doc to Model EasyBib. I've already got this open on the side because I clicked Add on EasyBib. And this is a website. Even though it is an article, we found it on a website, so we need to click website. I'm going to paste the link and I'm going to search for it. And I'm going to see your search results. Ready for a new job? Consider these hard to fill positions from CNBC. I select it. It creates the citation for me, and when I hit this red button that's Add Bibliography to Doc, it creates my works cited page and then does the MLA citation already. So that's a very handy little trick to use to get anything you find on the internet to be formatted correctly for your works cited page. Okay, going back to our research guide, the next thing I want to talk to you about is Google Scholar. Google Scholar is just part of Google, but it's a part of Google that is considered more reputable as a research for academic research projects. So I'm going to go to Google Scholar because I already have it open. It looks very similar to Google except for it says Scholar. And then I'm going to search nursing as a career. And I'm going to get 2.1 million articles. But I want them in the last 2 years, so I'm going to do since 2018. And I get 21,600. So here's one: perception of nursing profession focus group interview among applicants to nursing school. That looks like it has some potential. Let's pretend I've read it and I've decided it's definitely a source I want to use in my research guide. So I'm going to click that one and pretend I clicked it and opened it and decided it was good. But I'm going to come back here to this search window because this has these quotation marks right here for you. And you notice if I hover over the quotation marks, the word cite pops up. So all you have to do to get an MLA citation for this source is click the quotation marks. And it gives you MLA, APA, Chicago, Harvard, and Vancouver. So I'm going to highlight and copy the MLA format. Then I'm going to go back here to my works cited. I'm going to enter down and I'm going to paste that MLA citation that we got straight off of the Google Scholar page. Now, notice this is not the same formatting. It is not, well, it is actually indented right, which is very impressive. But it doesn't really match the first one. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Once we have all of our pretend sources on this works cited page, I'll show you how to clean all that up and make it look pretty. Going back to our research guide, we've done Google Search, we've done Google Scholar. Now I want to talk to you about things we have at our disposal because we are Hudson High School. The Hudson High School Media Center pays for online databases and other resources for you to use for research projects that you can only access because you are an HHS student. To get to those, we're going to actually click here, and it's going to take us to the Hudson High School Media Center. Once we are here, we can click under Research, Media Center Resources. And it's going to take you, awesome, to our Destiny Discovered. This is basically like a backdoor page of the high school online card catalog that shows you which resources we have available to you in the library. We're going to log in to the library catalog. Your username for this is going to be your alpha key. And I have a fake alpha key, which is Buzz the Hornet. And then your password is the number 0 followed by your 4-digit lunch number. And when we submit, we're going to see that now we're back at the same page, but instead of having up here log in, it has that we are logged in as Buzz Hornet. After I'm logged in as a student, I now have access to collections. And collections is where I've stored for you a collection of resources that I think will be helpful for this research project called English 3 Career Research, Miss Jackson. I'm going to open that collection and you'll see that I found one website called careers.org that has tons of resources about different careers, the education needed, what people in that career say about that career. So I thought this web page itself might be a really good option for y'all to use to look for career information. I also have put in here a link to Google Scholar, which I just showed you how to use, just in case you couldn't remember it or you didn't know where to find it. And then I've put a link to our Gale Power Search. As a part of TextQuest, we have access to tons of Gale databases and research materials. And when I click the Power Search, you will see that I have a search bar, and I'm going to search for nursing as a profession. And it's going to do its magic and do the spinny wheel. And we'll see over here that I have 2,809 magazine articles, 10,000 academic journals, 26,000 news, 205 books, some images, and even some videos. So I'm going to play with my search guide over here. For example, I know I only want to do, let's say I only want to do the past year, because nursing is a profession that might change quite often. So I only want things from the past year. These numbers became significantly smaller now. Let's say we also want to, I want to search within these results for education to find out what I need to do to be a nurse. Or, oh, here's even better. Let's pretend I want to talk about being a school nurse. Nurses in school, making a positive difference. The role of registered nurses and enrolled nurses in the school environment. So let's pretend this is a source that I now want to use. I'm going to click on it. And we see that we can read the entire article here in this web window. And I found something in here I want to use. I want to give credit for it on my Works Cited page. Over here on the side, I'm going to use my citation tools. And I'm going to make sure MLA 8th edition is picked. I'm going to select it all. Then I'm going to right click and copy. I'm going to come back to my document to model EasyBib. Paste that. Now see, once again, it looks very different. We'll fix all of that in a minute. For the sake of having a few more sources to mess with, let's go back here. Here. And I'm going to close this. I'm going to go back to my search results, and I'm going to get one more source. Oh, here's one about the nursing shortage continues across the nation. If I were going to do a speech about nursing as a profession, I might want to mention that there is a nursing shortage, which means if I go to school to be a nurse, I'm almost guaranteed to get a job. So let's open this article, and we want to use this one. So once again, I'm going to use my citation tool. It's MLA 8th edition. I'm going to select it. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back to my Works Cited document. I'm going to come here and I'm going to paste it. So we see now that I have a Sarah O'Brien, a Nina Glerion, a Julie Reeves, and then an article entitled Nursing Shortage Continues Across Nation, but this does not look like it needs to look. For the sake of making it match and look well, I'm going to just hit Control A and select everything on this page, because I know that everything needs to be Arial or Times New Roman, because those are the two preferable fonts for MLA formatting. And I also know that everything has to be 12-point font. I also know that some of my citations down here at the bottom are highlighted, and there doesn't need to be any highlighting, so I'm going to go to my highlighter tool and hit none. And just like that, my Works Cited page went from not matching very well to being formatted exactly the right way. The last thing I'm going to do to clean this up is to go in here and remove the hyperlink. Notice that web URL still stayed, but it's not hyperlinked, because a Works Cited page really isn't supposed to have hyperlinks in it, especially if you're using it in a presentation where people can't click on the links anyway. The last thing I need to do is rearrange these sources because they need to be in alphabetical order to meet the true criteria for a Works Cited page. So, in order to alphabetize them, I'm going to take the first one alphabetically, which would be the G. I'm going to use my Control X to copy that source. I'm going to go in front of the O, and I'm going to hit Control V to paste the source. So now I have my G source in front of my O. The last one I need to move is this bottom one that says nursing. So I'm going to Control X to copy, go in front of here, Control V to paste it. And now I have GONR and all of my sources. Oh, this one, sorry. I actually alphabetized wrong because N comes in front of O. Remove the extra space. And this is exactly what my Works Cited page will look like. If I were using this Works Cited page to be the last page of a research paper, then I would have other pages in front of this that had the actual paper attached to it, and I would have page numbers, and I would have an MLA heading. Since you only have to use this to be the last slide of a PowerPoint or a presentation, you can now just copy all of this using Control-C, and when you have your presentation ready, you can paste it to be the last slide of your presentation. If for some reason it won't fit on one slide, which is possible, just copy whatever part goes onto another slide and make it multiple slides long. That is a bare basic review of the resource materials we have at our disposal and how to create your Works Cited page. I do want to show you the very last thing on your research document, or some documents and resources I have created to try to help make researching a little bit easier and make sure our students use integrity when they're conducting research. So you have a link to a document that discusses different types of sources and how to use them. I'm going to open that and show you what it is. Oh, that's not working. Okay. So this document looks like this. It looks like this. And I'll fix the link on the research document before I get it to you. So it shows you different types of sources, and then this column describes them for you, and this one shows you how to use it and gives you an example of it. You have a link to that document. Let's see if the other links work. A link to a document about how to use sources correctly to avoid plagiarism. Let's cross our fingers and hope this works. So this one shows you acceptable as a template. Create a Works Cited or a reference. The links are above are templates to each. I've given you links on those on here too. It shows you different types of acceptable sources and unacceptable sources. It shows you good citations and bad citations, and then how to use images in your slide presentation, what paraphrasing is, which is acceptable, and copying and pasting, which is not accessible, especially if you don't use quotation marks and give credit. Then here's some examples of effective paraphrasing and poor paraphrasing, how to use quotes, how not to use quotes, and then give some taking notes, tips and tricks. So you have a link to that document. Since that worked that way, let me try opening this way. Nope, I'm going to have to fix that link, but I've showed you what it looks like. And then the very last thing I want to show you is a really good way to evaluate your sources and make sure they're credible is to use That's what the problem is. That link is wrong. I'll fix all of these in a second. So just for the sake of saving time, and this link will work also when I fix it, I like to use something called the CRAP test to evaluate sources. I know it's not very polite, but it works. And what this is an acronym for a system to use to evaluate your sources. If you'll notice, all of the slides give you some questions to ask, but it's just we have to make sure all of your sources are current, which is why I demonstrated how to narrow down your searches to the last year or two. If they have relevance to the topic, for example, when I found the topic, the article about nursing having a high need, does the person writing have authority? Is he or she a nurse or someone in charge of nursing school? Is the information in the source accurate? And then does it have a purpose within your project or your presentation? So just go through these slides quickly and look at the questions to make sure you know what exactly it is your sources need to be reliable, credible sources for the purpose of a research project. That, in a nutshell, was a really quick view of your research guide and how to use it. Like always, if you have any questions about this or need any help with anything, come see me in the library.